evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Sister, hey sister. Girl, we got some things to talk about, but how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, sister. I'm doing well. Just trying to get all of these. We have a lot to talk about, like you said, and so I'm just trying to make sure we have facts and not fiction.
Facts. Not misleading, not just our opinion, but facts.
Yeah.
We want the facts. All right, what's up, Jody Joe? Thanks for tuning in with us tonight.
Hey,
And hey, Sister Fashion, like we said, y'all like, follow, share, subscribe. Tell folks that you're tuning in live right now as we get prepared to talk about the debate. So on Thursday was the first presidential debate of this cycle. We'll get into that in a minute. But we want to start off with a couple hot topics. So the first hot topic is, it's conference season, it's convention season, and based on what it's been coming up in my timeline, I don't know what the Q's doing over there in Tampa. And I don't know what the other people doing over there in Tampa with the Q's. Y'all be careful out there. That's all I'm
who
gonna
else
say.
is in Tampa with the Q's?
People who just wants to be out with the Q's.
Oh, okay.
How about it? Y'all
Well,
be careful out in them streets.
is this their national conference? I thought it said national. It's interesting because I thought it said like this is the biggest one, and it was like 8,500 members, and so that can mean one.
Their numbers compared to what our numbers are, that's
That's
probably their largest, yes.
Well, that's why I was about to say that means one of two things. Either we just have a whole lot of members, because easily there's going to be 20,000 people in Dallas this next week.
That's right.
Or they just have nobody who signs up for their.
Oh, those are probably 8,500 is probably who registered.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And so that seems like a very low number. But then again, it could be a little bit of both. They could just have a less membership base and fewer people who were registering, but they just out there being.
They out. Well, one of the hot topics, y'all know, Tiny Desk is still doing this thing. And I just want to tell y'all, if you have not seen the SWV Tiny Desk, we're going to drop it in here in the comments. I'm going to say those sisters still have voices. They looked good, sounded great. And I mean, Coco got me ready to just want to cut off all my hair. So, because this was looking fire. So,
likewise.
But they still have voices. Woohoo! And I loved it.
Yes, they do still have voices. They are beautiful women. They are representing for the ladies that are 50 plus. And yes, I love Coco's hair, but I need to have both of somebody to beat my face every day and somebody to maintain that color, because this heat here, I got this much color left and I'm ready to cut off my hair off, because I'm like this dryness will take your hair color in places that you don't need to be going.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. Well, the other big hot topic this week besides that is the Lakers are going to have the first father-son duo on the team. So the son of LeBron James and Samantha James.
Savannah,
not Samantha. Sorry. Girl, I'm so sorry, sis. I'm sorry. Anyway, Savannah. Bronny is going to play with his father. The Lakers selected him in the second round. And look, the commentary has been all over the place for me. People talking about nepotism, people talking about inheritance. Ryan Clark, you have it wrong on the pivot. So it's not inheritance. Okay, it is definitely clearly a case of nepotism. But who cares? This was the point to me. The bigger point to me was that they hired JJ Reddick to be the head. You and me could be the head coach.
Yeah.
Because JJ Reddick was coaching a fourth grade team. That's his only basketball coaching experience. And
Yeah.
you worried about LeBron and some nepotism?
Listen, I've seen a few of the
What? JJ Reddick
a
is the
few.
head coach.
I'm
I
trying
was
to
like,
find some of the because there were two things. This one young lady, I guess, made a comment saying she had been called the N word only once in her life, and the guy that they just hired for this guy was the person who did it. Obviously, he's denying that.
you
Uh,
don't remember JJ Reddick as a player?
who me? I remember the name, but I mean, obviously, he didn't do nothing that was so outstanding.
I think I'll have to double check. Maybe we'll have our production system look up and see if he won a championship as a player, because he was on a lot of teams. And he was always a good role player.
Yeah, he was on a lot of teams.
Yes, he had a decent career and a good span. So it wasn't just like a couple years and done. He actually, but the fact that the conversation was so much on LeBron and Bronny, and I'm like, did y'all not? I mean, Jeannie Buss, the Buss family who owns it. I mean, how you think she got her job? Her daddy said he wanted all his children to have a job, and he gave all his children a job, and some of them didn't want the job. The couple of the boys didn't want the job, but weren't that good at it. But she wanted to be close to her daddy. That's when she got the job and doing what she's doing. So what are we talking about? It wasn't like Bronny did not play, like he did not ever play basketball either. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like JJ never coached. And
Yeah, I was looking
you
for
okay with him being the head coach. They wasn't not even an assistant job. He didn't start as an assistant. He ain't even been an assistant. No, he didn't even play. You know how our father talks about going from middle school basketball coach to college, and that was a big leap. But it's because of the relationship he had with the coach who was hiring. So it was based on that relationship.
right.
So relationships matter, people. Who you know, but who knows you is equally important. Who knows you is really more important, because they will be the one who will pick up the phone and say, we want you.
Right.
How about that?
Right. I was trying to find this meme or something that
So
I saw.
JJ didn't win a championship, but he played on a lot of teams. But that playing on a lot of teams and coaching, because it reminded me of when Luke Walton was the coach of the Lakers. At least Luke had played as well. But we knew he wasn't skilled in the coaching guy. But at least he had been an assistant
At the end of the day,
in the beginning of the day.
and all through it. Um, LeBron James is the star of the Lakers.
Yes.
So let's talk about, was it nepotism? Yes. Do I think Bronny? He did play for a very short period in college. He had this heart condition. My hope is that he is not trying, because this dream has been the dream for a long time. Oh, we want to be able to both play in the league at the same time. I hope he is not pushing himself physically to do something that he is not able to do. But yeah, of course, it's nepotism, and I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I sometimes look at my parents, wonder what y'all doing.
What
Why?
did they do, God? Lord, please, we calling you out.
Why did you not work harder so that my life could be comfortable and I could have a soft life? I don't know. But that being said, to your point, in a very similar fashion, relationships do matter. And obviously, if they want to keep their star player happy, and that's what he wanted, this is how it happened. But it's like you said, it's no different than Jenny Buss being employed there because her dad owned the team, and it's no different than her picking somebody who had no previous head coaching experience. No, well, you said he was a fourth grade.
He didn't coach high school. He ain't coach middle school.
You
He ain't coach
say he
no
coached
school.
the fourth graders, so apparently that means you can
But
jump.
he's been an analyst. So he was an analyst. He was on the sideline at basketball analyst for, so that's what he's done. So we got a few comments here. JJ didn't win a championship. He was in the finals, average 5.9 and 4 losses to the Lakers. I have no problem with LeBron using his black privilege. No difference than hiring your son for a 9 to 5. Hey, I think it right now. I mean, maybe my production assistant might be considered a nepo baby.
No, you wouldn't be. Um, yeah. So anyway, my biggest problem with this whole situation was obviously, if you all remember some years ago, there was a rumor that LeBron's mother was in an entanglement with one of his teammates.
That
So
wasn't rumored, it was real. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was not at these people's houses. All I'm saying is that, so to play off of that, somebody put up this meme that said, you know, LeBron James sleeping with his teammates' mother. Listen, y'all, grammar matters, okay? Because you want to make a joke. And it was a good joke. It's a solid joke, as I said on Instagram. Solid joke. There were some people who were not aware, right? So of course they jumped to the, oh my gosh, hope this wasn't true. Hope y'all just always want to bring the brother down. Okay, that's the ones who went over their head. But as somebody pointed out in the comments, but when the grammar is incorrect, so they had teammates and the apostrophe was after the S. See, this is why you gotta know when the apostrophe goes before.
Yeah, because after means a whole lot of them.
After it, and it was one mom, so it would mean that two of his teammates, at least two of his teammates, who may have had the same mother. I just want us to get our memes. Let's just do a little run the memes through the AI, through Chat GPT before y'all put them up there. Because otherwise, you mad that people don't always get the joke. But what we're saying is, I mean, I hope he's only sleeping with one of his teammates' mom, not others. So the biggest problem with the whole situation was the meme and being grammatically incorrect.
Child, listen. Hey, short. We got Trump putting his kids in the White House. Well, he had already put his son-in-law. I mean, and Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys, and his son Steven is the VP, executive VP, CEO, and director of player personnel, and that's why they continue to lose. I mean, so at this point, I mean, that's my thing. I think the Lakers did themselves. I mean, for them, the publicity, the storyline, the marketing that is going to come, the brands that are going to come to associate, it's a win-win for them financially. I mean, at the bottom line, everything
it's financially with all of that, but I still don't think they're gonna win no championship with Bronny. I'm sorry, no offense. Bronny, I ain't really seen. I mean, since high school, because we really didn't get much of a college career out of you.
So, and like I said, he had the surgery. I mean, he had a few disruptions in there. He had to have that congenital heart condition corrected. But hey, I don't know what it portends for the future, but
I don't see.
I know what we need to talk about for our future is this debate. So,
well, I do want to say one thing.
What you want to say?
Before we jump into this, because Lakeisha just brought up about Mr. Trump and all of his children and everybody at the White House working. I have noticed a very significant absence from certain persons who were very visible before. And I don't know what that means in their family gatherings or what have you. We obviously know Tiffany is like, hey, this is my shot to be the favorite daughter. I'm going to slide in here.
I'm going to slide on in here and be in the courthouse.
Right. But the daughter who he loves has been absent from the room. And I just find that to be very interesting.
And the wife that he's married to has been pretty absent as
Oh,
well.
she said she got to take care of that little boy. I don't even think she live around here no more. I don't know where
She,
she
she's
is. She probably
she
lives in New York, but I mean,
stayed in New York while he lived in Florida.
right. But she, at this point, she might not even be in New York no more. She might have then crossed the border into
I mean,
Canada.
because he did graduate high school, so she might be like, "Let me, my child is of age now. We out."
Right.
Possibly, I don't know, child.
All right, but get into the debates.
All right, we want everybody in the comments. If you are watching and you got your get your keyboard, get it ever ready. In 1 to 3 words, your first impression of watching the debate. I see my sister face is giving her impression right now. 1 to 3 words. What was the first thing that came to your mind when you watched the debate on Thursday? Come on, type it in the chat. Let's see what they got. What they got, sister? What they got?
I don't know what they got, but sad was mine. Sad.
Sad. Okay. Sad is one. Let's put
Not sad like boo. Sad like what the hell? Sad. Like old people fighting out in these streets like this. Sad. Like y'all really dissing each other about a golf game. Like that ain't hitting for what you think it's hitting for right now. Sad.
you put sad. I put trifling.
That too, trifling.
What's trifling is we the people. We the people is trifling that we have allowed ourselves to be low information, misinformation, disinformation to the point that we have stopped engaging in the political process that gets us to the point where we even have this where we are. So
We are all eating off of the low vibrational plate, baby.
Jesus, dumbstruck lives. Let's see. We got Dumb and Dumber. We got somewhat discouraged but not defeated. Okay, all right.
We gotta have all kind of different.
I watched the bear. I trust the people I trust the people who people up Biden more than who will be implemented Project 2025. Absolutely. Oh,
yes, let's be clear.
Shit show. Boom. That's it.
Right.
Dumpster fire. That's another good one. Dumpster fire. Yes. Oh,
I trust the people who prop up Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, watching it on Thursday, we went live on our Instagram and had a little talk. I mean, literally, it was sad to watch. But if you go back and rewatch it, and I know, yes, there were times, and I could tell, as some have said, they probably tried to have Joe reading all this stuff and doing all this, trying to memorize all this stuff to say, versus just allowing him to get out there and truly talk and debate. People talking about Trump sounding strong. If I get on here and tell you like this, that the earth is flat, and you need to know that the earth is flat because it's the best earth that's ever been. And when you're on a sailboat, you just look out and you can't go over because you could go over the edge because it is flat. If I say something loud that's just ignorant and wrong, that don't make me strong. That just makes it, I mean, if for people to be,
it makes you strong and wrong
and stupid. And so people are enamored. I mean, that's the part for me, is just that we have allowed ourselves to become enamored and excited by someone being loud and ignorant. That part amazes me. So that's on that side. And the other thing afterwards, and so I'm a registered independent. I think you're registered as an independent as well. I'm not sure.
No party. Yes, I'm registered.
No party affiliation. So no party affiliation over here. But the Democrats and the news about they need to find somebody else. Okay, it's 4 months before the election. They need to find somebody else. They need to do this. They need to do that. When literally, as I was telling you during the pre-show, Ronald Reagan was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and they did not come out and say, we need to take him out of office. Did they ever say that? That second term, his second term, he had a clinical diagnosis. of dementia. And we let him sit up there in the hearing and say, I do not recall, I don't know how many times.
Mm-hmm.
And then nary a Republican came out and said anything. This man is, who is their nominee now, has liable for rape, um, defamation, felonies for business practices, bad business practices, all of those. And now one Republican has came out and said we need to replace him. And Democrats, it's like y'all need to get y'all something up, because it's like, how do you they will turn on one another so fast. It's amazing to me.
Well, that was part of the conversation that I was listening to on MSNBC the other day. And I won't articulate it as well as this one brother did, but he was basically like, Republicans don't have to do the work because Democrats have been doing the work on each other. And to your point about what Sonny Hosta said on The View, this man is twice impeached, disgraced, convicted felon, accused of rape. To me, and I'm going to just say the word, if grab him by the pussy didn't disqualify him, if I could stand out on Fifth Avenue and shoot and kill somebody and get away with it, if that didn't disqualify him, then I don't know what does. But that certainly means to me that the Democrats have a marketing problem, because this man is handing you gold. And it's like, instead of just exploiting, he handed you like 25 lies, no, 30 lies, I think they said, in the first so many minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's handing you gold and you're not capitalizing on it. And I don't know what this idea about
the idealism of we're not going to tell to me, it's just telling the truth. Let's get into, so we dropped in the comments, we dropped the article or a video recap of some of the top moments. I don't think they had any top moments. But let's just talk about the fact checking, for instance. We're gonna drop a link in there about the fact check. I think some of the time, and people talked about Biden looking like he was lost or whatever. I think there were times, because this is how my face was. I think sometimes he was like, "What the fuck he's saying?" Like literally, that's the look he had on his face to me. What the fuck is he saying? Like, because there's a time when you see him, he like, and I would have loved if he would have just came out and said that.
Well, that's the problem. Okay, so we've gotten to this place. So y'all remember when Joe was like Crazy Joe, and we was like, okay, you can't, Joe, you're not going to be able to say everything that comes to mind. But he wasn't the president of the United States.
Right.
Obama was. So that's why we had to be like, reel it in, brother. But now you are the president of the United States. And saying that he has the morals of an alley cat, wow, a wonderful line.
A wonderful quip. Pithy quip.
Wonderful quip. But alley cat is malarkey level. Like, that's malarkey level diss. You needed to say your morals are, first of all, we should not trust anybody who has this many felonies. You could talk about my son all day. My son ain't running for office. I am. And anytime you want to talk about, I could, but you do. And yes, you slept with a porn star. And we know you did, because you wrote her checks, and you had this man who was your right-hand man mortgage his home to cover your debts, and it was proven in court. So, like, it's like, allow Joe to come out the bag on this man. But y'all don't want to do that. You're not, you want him to say alley cat. And I understand I don't want Joe to cuss him out, but to your point, yes, I'm sure there were moments. So do I think there were some, let's call them senior moments? Yes. But yes, there were probably some moments of being completely befuddled because you like, sometimes that happens to me when I get so angry about stuff. I be like, I have like 20 thoughts that's trying to all come out my mouth at the same time.
Yeah.
But what we have got to, and I do, so you and I on Thursday night said we liked the format. But there was something that was brought up that I didn't think about in the moment, but I was like, that was a fair point. That if you're going to have that kind of format, then you need to have fact checking on the spot. And that's for both sides. Because this is the problem with news. It's opinion based. There are not enough facts. There is not enough data supporting what any of these people are saying. Now, I do think that Mr. Biden's remarks were closer to the truth because he did at least attempt to throw out some numbers. The other one is just superlative based. I'm the best. You're the worst. This is the greatest. We got to make it great again. The economy was the best ever ever since money was printed and economies were created. This one is, under me it was it's like, how are we even allowing somebody we didn't have debate in my high school.
Right.
But we're going to have the 10 commandments. But anyway, we didn't have debate in my high school when I was there. But what I understand about debate is you can't just throw out a blanket statement and win the debate.
Right.
A true debate is supposed to be a position that you take, and then you support that position with facts. So I do think that it was a missed opportunity. Now, in hindsight, I do think it was a missed opportunity for Dana Bash and Jake Tapper not to call out. That's not exactly true in those moments.
Or do more of, well, that wasn't the question.
Right.
Like they did it a couple of times, but there should have been a lot more. That wasn't the question. The question was about this. The question was about this. Because that was the bigger thing. Biden was shaky, but he didn't answer the questions that were asked. And let's get into some of this other stuff here. We got a lot of comments. Let me see. 30 to 9 fact checks. Yeah. I can't rewatch. Nobody else is coming in to be the Democratic nominee other than Biden, unless he literally drops dead. And then the constitutional line of succession kicks in. Then we got our first woman and Black woman POTUS. Yes.
And here's the thing.
Come on, sister.
This conversation, we talked about it on Thursday. We've talked about it before. This conversation about age is not about age. It's about death. This conversation about age is not about him, because old white men been fucking up stuff for a long time. That ain't nothing new. And again, Trump ain't like, he's certainly, I mean, well, let me say it differently. Age is relative. To a 20-year-old, 80 is old. To a 100-year-old, 80 may not be old. So age is relative. Both of them, Donald 78, Joe 81, or what have you, at the end of the day, this conversation about age is not about age. It is about, if he dies, who becomes president of the United States. And people don't want to just say the quiet part out loud.
We don't want that Black woman.
We don't want a Black woman as president of.
We don't want that Black woman who married to that Jewish man. That's what we don't want. Who ain't got no children of their own. Come on.
It doesn't matter if she was married to a Jewish man, not married to a Jewish man. Listen, go back to suffrage. Go back to how Susan B. Anthony Nim was acting when Black men got the right to vote before they did. So I guarantee they are like, absolutely not. A Black woman will not get the right to be president of these United States before a white woman does. So let's just call it what it is, because it ain't like, I mean, none of us are sitting here. Like, what kills me is I look at Donald Trump, I look at his list of credentials to be the president of the United States, and literally he qualifies by the virtue of being born in the United States and over 35. That's it. And if you took that exact same resume of his,
it's like JJ Rabbit. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. If you took that exact same resume and applied it to a black man, an Indian man, a Nimrata, what would happen? You would not win. But because he's a white man, we have decided that in this country, white men know best. And so all of this conversation about his age ain't nothing but we don't want the black woman to ascend to the presidency. Period. So you can continue on the fact thing.
Period, point, and blank, baby. Listen. Okay, so we got to talk about some of these other points. Let's get into the black job. Now, I need to find what I shared earlier. Let me find that video, because my mom and my sister got some of these black jobs y'all want. Okay, just want y'all to know. Let me see if I can find this. Okay, let me see. Can I share this? All right, Lord, let me see if this gonna work out for me. I'm trying, y'all. If y'all haven't seen this video on the social media, this one right here, let me see. And let me get this volume up. Okay, if y'all ain't seen
jobs for the blacks. Job opening number 1 is stove light supervisor. This person is in charge of making sure that the stove light is on and if the bulbs need changing. This tradition is for us because it allows our ancestors to find and season our food in the middle of the night. Which brings us right on to job number 2. You need at least 15 years of training for a cast iron skillet trainer. This person is going to make sure that the cast iron skillet is passed down to the family member that knows how to cook, but also knows how to properly clean it. We will not be giving this to just anyone. Now, number 3 is very important. The spades project manager. Not only are they in charge of taking the tools out of the deck, they're also in charge of scoring and making sure nobody trains anyone on how to play spades, but the people that sit down know how to play. And where would we be without number 4? Number 4 is the t-shirt order director. This person is in charge of making sure all the t-shirts are ready for family reunion, all the t-shirts are ready for the homegoing, all the airbrushing is done, all the lettering is correct, and everybody has their $35 to $40 in on time. I see you, Tony. Now, the Kool-Aid coordinator is right up there with the macaroni and cheese master. We need 5 references. Do not play. And the homecoming shift lead will make sure we're licking up and at every event leading up to homecoming. With the recent announcement.
Oh my goodness. I got such a tickle and a joy out of that, because I needed that. Because when this man, so the playbook of pitting black people against immigrants is old, it's tired, and it's stale. And we need to stop taking the bait and falling for it. And
so let's comment really quick. Here's the quote. The fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now. And it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs and they're taking Hispanic jobs. And you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be worst in our history. I don't know what that means, but
how many black Americans are there in this country? We're about 13%.
Approximately 13 million. I mean
13%.
13%. I'm sorry.
And 13% of 300 million. So basically he's saying no blacks is gonna have no jobs based on them numbers.
Right. I'm sorry. 300 million. Yeah, because that would be okay. I'm just doing the math in my, I'm having a moment. I'm doing the math in my head and using the calculator. And I'm like, yeah. So yes, It'll be over 30 million that he's talking about. So if 18, 19, or 20 million are coming over the border and it's about 30 million of us, none of y'all gonna have no job. 39 million. So about, okay, so if it's 20 million, 19 million of y'all might have a job. The rest of y'all ain't gonna have no job. I'm okay though, because I'm gonna give me a black job as long as the salary right.
Well, Joe Lindy says, I need the salaries of these black jobs, Listen, and see, I'm doing like Biden now, because he's like, listen, first, because there's just so many things you want to say. And I'm nowhere near his age, but I'm feeling his pain right now. Like when you hear something like this, you're like, listen, the truth is, there is no such thing, as we said, as a black job, as a white job. Basically, what he was saying is, we want you back out there in those orange groves, picking those oranges around Florida. That's what he was saying.
Well, I think, so let me not, because I don't want to simultaneously disparage people who are immigrants who may be in those sort of jobs. What you're saying is
I'm not trying to disparage it. It is the people, because he said the migrants, most of the migrant workers in states like mine or my former state like Texas, a lot in California, they are working on farms, or in Arkansas who are working at the chicken factories.
But there are also a lot, as we see at home, who are working in construction as well.
So,
yes. So the overall commentary is, we have now equated work that is
laborious,
maybe outdoors, maybe
underpaid,
overworked. We're calling those black jobs, and now we're saying, and Hispanic jobs, because he did say
black and Hispanic jobs, right?
So we're saying those are black and Hispanic jobs, and the immigrants are coming to take the black and Hispanic jobs, as if to suggest that black people and Hispanic people in the United States of America have not risen above what he believes are required hard labor, required tasks. But obviously he feels like we're only qualified to do certain things, and those things are usually our brawn and not our brains. And that's where we need to be. And listen, I know people who fall into the categories of listening to this rhetoric and believe it. I have heard, black people say, oh, the Mexicans are taking all the jobs. And I'm the first one to say, I can't call anybody who's been Mexican who took a job from me. The only people that I know who takes the job from me is the boss who decided to lay me off and say, we no longer need you. And I'm sitting there like, well, wait a minute. I thought the work that I was doing was so important. And then you tell me I can turn in my computer and I don't even have to worry about finishing this project that was supposed to be so imperative. That's the only people who took a job from me. I've never, ever encountered somebody who walked in the workplace and they were like, Christina, we're firing you and we're replacing you with this person. It's never happened. So it's offensive.
Is he going to give one of those black jobs to his immigrant wife?
No, he's not, because she married well. She didn't marry a good person, but she married well enough to not worry about working. And as we were talking about Ruth and Naomi and Boaz earlier, listen, Naomi just wanted her girl to marry well. She wanted her to listen. We done struggled. We've been in the struggle. Mm-hmm. I know it's rhetorical, but we've been in the struggle, and we want you to marry somebody who
Can take care of you.
take care of you.
And
And
in
we
turn, take care of us.
exactly. And it happens all the time. But but again, when you have somebody who is such a narcissist, they believe that people actually marry them because they fly,
Mm.
because they cute, because
Mm.
they got like good businessman, like because that one is always funny to me. He's such a good businessman.
Well, I mean, I got a couple quips in it. People missed them. Like when he was like, "Yeah, and yeah, you had a cognitive test, and you're 200 pounds, and I 6'5" and 240 pounds." Yeah,
That's why they need to just let Biden. Stop. Let that man go ahead and say what he got to say. Because you saw
a
what
lot
he
of people missed that. A lot of people missed when they were going that whole golf thing, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd like to see you carry your own bag." I was like, "Oh, okay, you're doing that right now. All right, yeah, we gotta." But let's talk about this before we get into these other topics from the debate. But Joseph Robinette Biden, as you said, go to North Carolina the next day.
looking spry and fresh.
I was, what? That's why I'm convinced it was like y'all had too much pressure on that man. He put too much pressure on himself or something because he was out there talking, was verbal, had a strong voice, kind of had a rod of steel in his back, and say, "I'm gonna keep on fighting." And I was like, "Oh, you knucking and bucking, okay." Why was he knucking and bucking the next day, sister?
Listen, I'm gonna say first and foremost, don't tell me that man had no cold. Because
Because
unless
but when I sent you that video, you was like, "Wait a minute, hold
I
on."
said Joseph Robinette Biden, if we gonna do it, let's do it. Cause see, we not playing. Don't play with me. Don't play with me coming out strong and you don't put the team on your back and you trying to run across the finish the goal line now. Whatever the raspy voice was, it was not a cold. It might have been stress. Like Patrice said, he stutters, but we know you stutter, Joe. Stutter while you cussing him out.
No.
We'll accept that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be able to accept you stuttering and getting confused and getting frazzled by somebody who possesses like half of your intellect.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let somebody play you who you know you're smarter than. And of course, look, we all know my daddy always said you can't be rational with irrational people. You can't use rationale with somebody who can just make up stuff on the fly and convince himself that it's right, so tries to therefore convince you that it's right. All Joe could do is speak to the American people and let them know. And the quips were good. That's why you gotta let that man do his thing. Stop. Let him do his thing because he did his thing. And he did his thing even afterwards. It's
Right.
like not the next day, like the same night.
Right.
Stop playing with me, Joseph.
Right. The same night. And first of all, it was late. Okay. Because for 9 o'clock for me, I'm like, well, then, why is this starting at 9 p.m.? But you gonna get off and go have some conversation and cogent points and talking about policy. Bruh, what was it? And I think it could be old cramming statistics. It can be.
Yes.
And all of us have been in an argument or having a circular conversation with a fool, a liar, a cheat, whatever, right? We've had those, or you're sitting there listening to someone, as you said, you're so stunned and taken aback that you don't know how to react right in that moment because you're like, I know this bitch didn't. Like, like that's really what's going on in your mind. Like, and I just feel like those moments for decent people, right? For decent people, that's why you don't find the words because decent people that's not how we normally deal, right?
But again, you know what you're dealing with. So if I know that I'm gonna have a conversation with somebody who lie all like, listen, I know some people who just always gonna have a make up a story, and I'm gonna listen to their story, but I know that 10% of it was true. The other 90% was likely what they wanted to say, but didn't actually say in that moment. But it sounds much better when you're telling the story back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know who you're dealing with. So you either choose to say,
Well, he told him you're a liar.
yeah, but then Trump just called him a liar. So okay. So here's the thing: both of them lie, because here the nature of politics to a certain degree is somewhat fabricating the truth. Like, you tell the story that is.
You tell a story that you can tell. I mean, that's any
Yeah,
leadership.
you tell the story that you can, but you also want it to be favorable to you, right?
Yeah.
So if you go through the fact checks, I think our production assistant put them up. Please put other sources up, because I like to have more than one source. If you go through it and you look at the facts and you do the fact checking, in both cases, both of them got things wrong. But there's one who was way more blatant with
Well, there's one who was okay. This is misleading versus this is a lie.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
this is not true. This never happened. Oh, you might have exaggerated what your accomplishment versus that never even took place.
So when you say somebody has the morals of an alley cat, that's great. That's a great one line. But what you really could have said is like, listen, I am never going to be able to fight fire with fire, because I'm using fire and he over here with something else that's not fire, right?
With an atomic bomb.
Yes, and an atomic bomb that doesn't have any, that he has no problem using it at any time. So there was an opportunity, like we said, for the moderators to fact check in the moment on both sides. Similarly, there was an opportunity in the moment for him to say, nothing this man ever says is the truth. And when this debate is over and they fact check the both of us, you're going to see how many times this man lied to you. And at the end of the day, he's lying to you because the only person he cares about, who he's ever cared about, is himself. He don't want to be president of the United States because he wants life to be better for you. He don't know you. He don't care about you. He wants to be president of the United States because he's hoping to be a dictator, and he wants to change the way we live in this, what is supposed to be a democracy. He sees Putin and he admires Putin. He sees Kim Jong-un and he admires Kim Jong-un. He wants to be that. And similarly, there are people who are voting for him who want to be despicable humans, as I've said before, who want to cheat on their pregnant wives, who want to do poor business deals, who want to discriminate against Black and brown people, who want to take out full page ads on young men, young boys who are not guilty of a crime, but because you've lived a life as a criminal, you want to now project onto other people. There are people who want to say racist things and then turn around and try to seduce you with some gold tennis shoes. And there are people who want to do that. So he has his political motivations and they have theirs. And so anytime I see somebody, like I arrived in San Diego and there was a man and he had a hat and it was a black hat. So they didn't change the colors of the hats. So it ain't just automatically a red hat. And I saw this hat, but I saw it said Trump on the back. So I don't know if it still said Make America Great or not. Nonetheless, I saw the nod. Now, this man appeared to be of a brown hue in San Diego. So I'll just say that. And there was a man who appears to be a white man. And it was this nod, that exchange between them that made me just say, and turn around. I was like, I can't today. because this was like Friday, and it was right after these debates. People want to live in a world where they can get away with murder. And this is the guy who's telling them, I can create that for you.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's talk about this conversation about abortion.
good. I'm tired of people talking about if somebody after a child been born, it's an abortion. That's not how abortion works. So let's just start there.
You see me shaking my head? The lack of knowledge that so many people, men especially, but also women, have around the reproductive systems, conception, development, fetal development, to then birth, the lack of knowledge of that whole process is so confounding to me that everybody needs to shut up and allow doctors and their patients to handle the business of taking care of their life. The fact that they're sending women home to die, almost die, carry to term a non-viable fetus, the fact that they're doing all of those things is disgusting. And it has nothing to do with life, everything to do with control. And this, so he tried to moderate his point and say, yes, well, it's for let the states decide. It makes no sense in the United States of America that if I live in this state and I move to another state, how my doctor can administer health care for me changes. That is just stupid. And the fact that we, the people, keep going with that BS, like, well, if you live in this, we move. We go from one place to the next. We drive from one place to the next. I mean, I think it's idiotic even that some of the laws are different on driving on the highways are different. When you're driving on interstate highways, that some of the laws are different from state to state. They're dumb. Are we a country or not? I don't know. But this issue right here, if you have a female child, if you ever think you want to give birth, this issue right here should, this issue that they have chased after to change this law for 50 years, this should scare people. The things that they're saying that are wrong and inaccurate, and what it is doing to a woman's health and reproductive health.
So here's what I will say. And I heard this somewhere, and I don't remember exactly where, but I'll just say it like this. One thing that the GOP does that the Democratic Party doesn't seem to do is play the long game. Yeah. The GOP plays the long game because, like I said, they chased after this Roe v. Wade for over 50 years and vowed to get rid of it by putting these quote unquote conservative justices on the court. And old boy is already promising to put more conservative justice on the court, which is interesting because the women who sit on there, the one in particular should be concerned, right? But nonetheless, because I'm sure she's still of childbearing age and things like that. But maybe she can't have, she's had all the children she's gonna have. They play the long game because this whole idea, like you said, about abortion is not, it's about control. Well, I would add that it's about servitude too, because we go back to that comment about the black jobs.
the women jobs.
There are people who believe that, if you're not in service to them, you have no purpose in this ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And so a part of the job of a woman, as old boy, who I can't remember that little stupid boy's name, who's the football player giving that commencement speech, is you should be more concerned about having babies and getting married and having a husband and having babies than doing anything else. And even though we see the attacks on education, public education, even though we see that more investment, greater investment is being made in penitentiaries than in public schools and libraries, we are seeing all of these things. And we think this conversation is just about abortion. I need you to have more children. Because if you have more children and I continue to put laws into place, even though I've now of the in the grand scheme, I'm a smaller population than everybody else put together. But if I can make the laws, because at one point enslaved people, there were more enslaved people than there were enslavers.
Yes.
The laws prevented them from being able to do as much. They had no rights because they were considered property. So yeah, I need you to have more babies. And I need you to have more babies because I need more people to be in service to me. And I need more people to be in service to me because the only way you have very wealthy people is if you have very poor people. The only way you keep your positions of power is if you have people that you can oppress.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that we're trying to talk sense into people who have no desire to have this is not a clinical conversation.
Mm-hmm.
They have no desire to do what is right based on medical on medical decisions because Black women are treated differently
Mm-hmm.
when they go to have a baby than white women, period. So this is not about medicine. This is not about care, patient care. This is about, at the end of the day, we see the browning of this country. We see the demographic shifting, and we do not want to be in the minority. So white women, we need you to have more kids. And you want to stop having kids? Nope. Well, then we got to take away your ability to have kids. And if it means you die in the process, we still up. And I hate to say it like that, but the number, we still up if you die in the process.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in the process, guess what? And you bring another one into the world, we up one. We have got to stop having, at some point, we have to stop having conversations about abortion through the lens of medicine. Because you have doctors now, just like when we saw for the pandemic, you had doctors spewing stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to stop having the conversation through the lens.
Well, you know, when they for the longest kept depending on Rand Paul. Sir, you are an optometrist. Like, can you please stop being the you don't even know this nether region. So stop it. Stop it. It's not your specialty.
But that's what I'm saying. So we have to have a conversation about what is in the grand.
We need to have it as a healthcare conversation, but we need to stop trying to have it as a moral conversation.
Well, yes, we have to have a healthcare conversation. But when I say about a patient care conversation, if somebody don't care, but so again, when people were enslaved, and you and I we said this earlier, you know, when women were considered property, then if I'm purchasing some land and you come with the land because
Mm-hmm.
you are part of the property. So if you keep thinking about this as far as, yes, it is absolutely a healthcare issue. I got this sticker right here that says racism is a public health crisis. It is absolutely a healthcare issue. But if you keep thinking about it and trying to talk, again, You trying to be rational and use statistics and talk. The people who want to talk about healthcare, you have the conversations with them. People who don't want to talk about healthcare, then yeah, we do need to say stop doing the moral police thing, because now you got to pull out some stuff on them. That's when you got to start being like, oh, so we're gonna make it a moral issue. Cool. So the way my Bible reads, Brett Kavanaugh, you shouldn't really be just raping women on side of dumpsters. That ain't right. You know, I just feel like we try to have they're trying to have an intellectual conversation and appeal to people's ability to understand medicine when they don't care about that. This is about them again. I don't want to be in the minority.
Well, as I said earlier, the systematic dumbing down, the systematic walk away from truth, walk away from facts, walk away from data and statistics, to rewrite history. Because that man stood on that stage and told us that what we saw on January 6th was not what we saw.
Well, he also told you that Nancy Pelosi had the ability to stop what was going on, and he offered something to her and the National Guard. First of all, sir, why would you have to offer the National Guard to anybody if it was a peaceful conversation and rally and they just
over the lies?
Yeah. Right. But see what I'm saying? You trying to have a conversation. We're trying to sit up here and be like, sir, we're looking at these people break in. They are actually committing crimes right in front of your face. But how can I have a conversation with somebody about, did you not see the criminal behavior, when they said, no, it was just a regular day. And then everybody around them, y'all was scared. Y'all was hiding. Y'all thought your lives might come to an end. And now today you're like, no, it didn't happen. So how you gonna have that conversation? That's my point. Sometimes you just gotta stop talking to stupid people. And you have to say, okay, let me show you better than I can tell you. And then you have to work with like-minded individuals. And that's where I feel like the opportunity is. Stupid people gonna be stupid. If somebody listens to somebody say they're having an abortion after a child is born, and you're shaking your head like, yeah, that's what they doing.
Yeah, they gonna rip the baby from the body,
right,
and then abort it. No, that's not what happened. And
like you said, that's infanticide. That's not
infanticide. It's not an abortion. But you and I both know women who you know what, this fetus is not viable, but we're gonna have to induce labor and you're gonna have to give birth and watch this baby die because it's not a viable fetus. We both know people who've had that experience.
And we both know that those people who've had those sorts of experiences, even people who have chosen to have abortions because they've chosen that I can't do this at this stage of my life.
Right.
I don't know any woman who's made that decision hastily, or that once it was done, it was like out of sight, out of mind. I don't know anyone who is doing that and it's like, oh, you know what, birth control, I'll do it again and again and again, because I'm pretty sure that does something physically to your body as well.
Absolutely.
So it's like folks have enough to deal with when they're making these sort of decisions. They don't need to be reminded every day about losing a child, having to give birth to a child who was not viable, or giving birth and they don't go home with a baby. Like they don't have to be reminded of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, our time has expired for this evening. The main thing is go to vote.org. Make sure that you check your registration. If you are signing up, you have to request a ballot in your state to do a mail-in ballot. If you're going to do early voting, whatever your plan is, get your plan together, get a few friends together. And remember, there are 435 congressional seats. There's 33 Senate seats. You probably have some local commissioner elections that are up. You probably have some council on your ballot. And you need to start thinking very hard, long and hard about really the life you want to live and how you want to live, because it is about who's going to be on the Supreme Court. It is about government agencies like the EPA, whether they will continue to allow them to pollute our air and our water, or remove all references to climate change. And now we have a Category 4 storm, the earliest in the season to have a storm that strong. And you're going to tell us about that we have a legislature here that's removed all references to climate change in the laws. Like, this is very, very important to look at it in total, in the whole picture. We talked about that Project 2025 in a previous episode. Go look who they're proposing to appoint as the head of these agencies in these department and cabinet level positions. Right. You need to think long and hard about the totality of how you want to live your life. And if you are okay with the oppression of someone else, you need to know that your oppression is soon to come. And with that, that's all I got.
I will just add to that. You mentioned there are a lot of local elections, and really do, I would say, again, here the primaries were moved. There was no advertisement about it. Please know what's going on in your local government or local municipalities. I would also say, one thing that bothered me, there's somebody who's running for like treasurer or something locally here, and they put Republican on their sign. Somebody else who's running for sheriff, conservative Republican on their sign. Let me tell you something. There are some roles that I really don't want to know your political affiliation. Mm-hmm. In fact, I want you to be able to set aside your political affiliation. You're supposed to be unbiased across the board, but specifically when you're talking about money, treasurer, I don't want you to tell me you're a Republican, because if that might make you think that you're more responsible fiscally. But I've seen a lot of the port projects. I've seen a lot of the mishandling of funds. I want to know that whether you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, or you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, you're going to be a good steward of everybody's dollars. Mm-hmm. So we have to also get past some of this partisanship, because at this point, it is not serving us as the larger community. I still have to believe that the Trump Republicans, because let's face it, this GOP is not the same as even the Tea Party was, or even a few years earlier than that. This one has gone really off the rails. And so I have to believe that there are still fewer Trump Republicans than everybody else. But everybody else has to get out, has to be informed, and has to start at the very local levels and go all the way up.
Absolutely. Well, with that, we signing off for the night, y'all. Y'all be good and be safe out there. Be diligent and vigilant, and we'll see you next week.